What's up, Vineyard Youth? I'm Pastor David.
And I'm Josh.
And welcome to Vineyard Youth Online. We are excited to have a fun time together. We have Josh going to be giving us our message tonight. But first, we're going to play a quick little game. So we're going to play Getting to Know You with Josh Fisher. All right? So we want you to participate too. So as I ask Josh some of these questions, write your answers in the chat as well. All right? So are you ready for this, Josh?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So since everybody's really hungry, it's dinner time. What is your favorite food?
Oh man, it's always a toss-up between either a burger or pizza, but I think pizza wins out. Specifically, just like a cheese pizza from Domino's. So I can just eat the whole thing.
Just cheese?
Just cheese, you know. Don't gotta get fancy.
What about extra cheese?
Hey, that's too much. You know, I feel like they already have the ideal ratio. If anything, extra sauce.
Extra sauce. Okay, all right. So cheese pizza is the way to go. All right. Now, a little bit more serious. I don't know if it's more serious, but this is another question. All right. So, what animal would you be if you could be any animal?
I think some of my favorite animals have always been the ones that do the most outrageous things. Like, I mean, in like the Planet Earth documentaries, they have like the birds of paradise that have like the mating calls that are just ridiculous. Like, I would want to be able to just walk up to a girl and instead of like asking them on a date, just like clap my hands and just woo! And if I just do it the loudest, then we're good. Then I got a dick right there.
Ladies, he is still single. All right, so this is all right, but we'll see. But that's interesting. Okay, ready to go. All right, I don't even know where to transition in there from that, but anyways, all right. And then finally, what if you were on a desert island? What two things would you take with you?
The first thing would probably be a fidget spinner. You know, you can never go wrong. That's entertainment forever. You know, no power needed. Just spin it, you're good. You do all sorts of tricks. Next, probably my mother. Because that's it. That's the best answer. My mom, I can't live without my mom. So there you go.
That's a great answer. Again, thank you. Put your answers in the chat. We would love for you guys to put them in there so we get to know your answers as well. But we are so excited for tonight. We're glad that you're here watching with us. We're going to transition to our first segment of our time together, which is a time of worship, and Josh is going to lead us in prayer for that.
All right, let's bow our heads, close our eyes. God, just thank you for this opportunity for us to get together and just worship you, God. I pray that you prepare our hearts as we transition into this time and just allow our focus to be on you, and I pray that your presence comes, oh God. I pray all this in your name. Amen. Amen.
know that on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m., we get together on Zoom. This is time for you guys to hang out, have some FaceTime with other students that are your same age, maybe go to the same school as you. So make sure that you join us on Wednesday at 7 on Zoom. Now we're going to go into our teaching segment by Josh Fish.
Let's start today with an obvious statement. Things change. Think about it. You probably don't listen to the same music you did 3 years ago. Your wardrobe is probably a little bit different than it was in the 5th grade, and you probably look a lot different than you did when you were a little kid. These are changes that are, for the most part, expected. No one expects to look the same way as they did in elementary school. But there are also changes that are unexpected. Changes that feel like they show up out of nowhere. And unlike changes in fashion trends and musical taste, these types of changes can be a little more difficult to deal with. For example, maybe you had a friendship that changed. There was a person who was close to you that you trusted, but something happened to take you and that person in different directions. And now you don't know if that friendship will ever be the same. Maybe it was a group of friends that changed. You had a crew that you felt a part of. You felt like you were in, and now you feel like you're out. And now you're dealing with the new normal of trying to make new friends and figure out how to deal with the hurt and confusion of losing the old ones. Or maybe you changed location. You moved to a different neighborhood, town, or state, and now you're figuring out that landing in a new place isn't easy to navigate. Unexpected changes have a way of disrupting our lives, and that's what we're going to talk about today. There's so many possibilities of unexpected changes life can throw at us. An injury, sickness, or health challenge, unexpected financial challenges, getting cut from the team or failing the class, coronavirus. Like the famous philosopher Love says, changes, they might drive you half insane. It doesn't matter how old you are, how much money you have, where you live, if you're famous or not, unexpected changes affect all of us. And because of that, we need some sense of stability. We all want something that stays the same no matter what. Some place, person, or group we know will be there for us when nothing else feels secure. For many of us, we've always considered family to be that thing for us. For others, family has never been a safe or secure place. But for all of us, there's the idea, either from our own experience or a belief that we have deep down, that family should be constant, even if it's not we expect it to be. So when change happens in our family, it can be much more difficult to deal with. And maybe you've experienced this. Maybe your parents got divorced. You thought your parents would be together forever and it didn't seem like anything was wrong, but suddenly they split up. And maybe you've had a parent pass away, whether it was kind of expected and you saw it coming from an illness, or maybe it happened out of nowhere. And whatever it is, nothing could ever prepare us for losing a parent. And maybe it was something smaller, like one of your parents got a new job and had to move away or traveled more and you just didn't have quite as much time with them to see them. Or maybe you got a new addition to the family and you got a new baby brother or sister. The way you feel like you're treated in the family is probably different now. I mean, sure, you're still loved, but maybe you're not getting the same attention that you got before. Or maybe a sibling went away to college. You're happy for them, or maybe happy to get them out of your hair. But the truth is, you're probably going to miss them, and the family is just going to look a lot different without them. And no matter what our experience is with change, something about it happening in our families just really makes it more difficult. So the question is, if avoiding change is impossible, how do we get better at handling it? Is there a way to navigate change in our families so that it doesn't cause us to become more bitter or cynical? How can we be best prepared for the inevitable changes that happen in our family? Well, when you look at the Bible, you might be surprised to see that a lot of the writers were helpful when it comes to dealing with change. In fact, the writer of the Old Testament book, Ecclesiastes, who many people believe was King Solomon, had a lot to say about change. Solomon was an ancient king of Israel, and God blessed him with incredible wisdom. In fact, he is commonly known as the wisest man who ever lived. And you may be thinking, well, I'm glad that an ancient king from a place I've never been was wise, but what does that have to do with me and change in my family? Well, thank you so much for asking. Because in the passage we're about to look at, Solomon is writing about some of the things he's observed in his lifetime, and that includes change. Here's what it says. There's a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to paint and to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, like in this coronavirus season, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Now, all this is just a very poetic way of saying, everyone get ready. Change is coming. It is going to happen. Nothing stays constant. The things you're experiencing today will look different tomorrow. This is the world we all live in, so we might as well get used to it. In some ways, this seems kind of depressing. I would love to hear that there's a way that I could just make things and change less painful. Or even better, is there a way that I could just keep things from changing altogether? But that's not what Solomon is saying. In fact, he's saying the exact opposite. He's letting us know that everything will change at some point or another. It's inevitable. But the truth is that when we know things will change, both in our families and the world around us, we can prepare to deal with it. Instead of fighting change and pretending like things will always stay the same, we can open our hands and give up control. God is fully aware of everything that changes in our lives. He knows that good and bad will show up in our lives and neither will last forever. But in this life of constant change, God also makes a promise to us. And unfortunately, the promise isn't that he's going to make all the difficulty go away. In the book of Isaiah, we learn about a message that God has for his people. Not everyone agrees on when Isaiah was written, but most people believe that it was written during a time of trouble for Israel. There was they were either in captivity in Babylon or coming out of exile in Babylon. In other words, their world was falling apart. They had been forced to leave their homes and live in a land with people who spoke a different language, worshiped different gods, and were hostile to their way of life. Everything that felt safe, secure, and stable, all of a sudden wasn't. And in the midst of that, this is what God said to his people. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. Imagine the comfort that must have brought the people hearing it. When everything around them was changing, God wasn't. The same is true for us. In every single moment and season of change, including family change, God will be with us. He is walking through the difficulty with us. We are never alone. God is never caught off guard by the changes of our lives, and he has promised to be with us. Then that must be exactly what we need. We can't control the people in our families, and as much as we want our families to be stable and constant, it just doesn't always happen. So since we can't stop change and we can't control people, what can we do? Well, we can start by focusing on our mindset, thinking, attitude, and perspective. We can change the way we look at change. Think of it this way. When your family changes, your mindset matters. I'll say that one more time for all you people playing Fortnite and aren't listening. When your family changes, your mindset matters. When someone in your family moves out, your mindset matters. When someone moves in, your mindset matters. You can't control the external circumstances, but you can work on your attitude and perspective. You can remember that God is with you even when they're not. Here are a few steps to help you work on it. Understand that change will happen. This is why the passage in Ecclesiastes we talked about earlier is so powerful. There's a time for everything. Change is bound to happen. Understanding that doesn't make change easy to handle, but at least now we know that it's a reality of life that everyone has to deal with. Second, know that God is with you. Like it says in Isaiah, whether you pass through the waters or walk through the fire, God will not leave you alone. And whatever change you face in your family, He will be right there with you, helping you and comforting you. And third, trust that God can use the change to change you. God can use our time of transition and adjustment to grow us in ways we may have never expected. God can do something in and through our time of change. But we have to think long term. However bad it feels right now, it won't feel this way forever. When we have a long-term view, we know there's something after this. We just might not see it yet. God is not done yet. And if we can begin to see change this way, we can embrace it as something that can take us somewhere good. Change has the potential to be something that causes us to grow, mature, and become more of who God designed us to be. So without question, change is difficult. Whether that's just a new season, a new house, a new town, a new stepmom, or just a new normal. Whatever it is not easy, especially when it comes to change in our family. Just know that you're not alone. You're not the only one dealing with change. Like Solomon said, it's bound to hit all of us. You're not alone because God is with you. And you're not alone because you have a small group to talk about all of this with. And if you're having a particularly hard time dealing with a certain change in your life right now, don't be afraid to reach out to one of your leaders to ask for a little one-on-one time to talk about it. So when your family changes, your mindset matters. So let's ask God for the strength and grace to help us get our mindsets in the right place. Will you pray with me? God, thank you for this opportunity to learn about change. We thank you that you are a God who is with us through the change, and that you don't just care about what's on the other side, but you also care so much about being with us through the whole process, and you're never going to leave us alone. Help us to never forget that and to just always have the right mindset and be focusing on you, God. I pray all this in your name.
Wow, that was such a great word tonight by Josh, and just a great reminder that our mindset matters, because we're living in a world that seems to be changing constantly. So no matter if it's in our world or in our family, our mindset matters when it comes to change. Thanks for joining us tonight. So like and subscribe to all of our social media accounts, and we can't wait to see you